Imagine a chilly Tuesday morning. An HVAC controller trips, the floors get cold, and a vendor arrives ready to fix it. But the payment approval sits in someone's inbox for 36 hours. Tenants are bundled in coats, a workday is ruined, and what should have been a 1-hour repair turns into a multi-day outage. That delay? It wasn't a technical failure so much as a governance problem.
We begin this episode with the built, wired, and secured signature queue, and then get into a governance-first playbook for emergency repair funds. Straightforward, operational, and explicitly not legal advice.
From an operational standpoint, those 36 hours are everything. Tenants feel this immediately, and the downstream impact, lost work, reputational friction, compounds fast. So the question is, how do you pay for fixes when minutes count without blowing up controls?
Exactly. Today we'll walk through 3 practical sections. First, defining the gate, what actually qualifies as emergency spend. Second, the operational plumbing, how money flows and what evidence you require. And third, rehearsal and reconciliation, so the policy actually works under pressure. Michael, thanks for joining us. Could you briefly tell listeners what you manage day to day and why this topic matters to you?
Happy to. I oversee operations across a portfolio of mixed-use assets. My day is a series of small dramas, broken doors, power blips, heating hiccups, and the real job is preventing the small dramas from becoming crises. That's where clear emergency spend governance saves hours and preserves tenant trust.
Before we dig in, a quick note on scope. We're focused on operational governance and rehearsal, what to authorize, how to document it, and how to test it. We're not drafting contracts or giving legal advice. Treat our thresholds as starting heuristics you adapt with finance and procurement. Segment 1, define the gate. Michael, how do you start defining what actually counts as an emergency?
Start with a simple principle. What breaks if this goes down? If a system failure immediately disrupts tenant operations, safety, or critical building services, it's a candidate. Then tier it. Tier 1, immediate safety or life safety systems, highest threshold but fastest release. Tier 2, tenant critical systems, like HVAC in occupied spaces. Tier 3, non-critical but business impacting items.
So, tiering gives you a framework. What about who can pull the trigger? Single-owner release rules are recommended, right?
Yes. Designate a single authorized approver per site for low-dollar, high-urgency spends, someone operationally empowered, often the property manager or operations lead. For higher thresholds, require a 2-person release or an on-call finance approver. The point is to remove ambiguity. When seconds matter, you need a named person who can act without waiting for committee approval.
And notification, what should stakeholders expect after a release?
Immediate notification is critical. Send a brief incident message to finance and leadership with the tier, amount authorized, vendor name, and promised ETA for reconciliation. That creates an audit trail and keeps everyone aligned, so the emergency action isn't a surprise afterward.
Okay, segment 2, operational plumbing. Let's talk about merchant mechanics and the evidence packet required for release.
From an operational standpoint, pre-vetted vendor lists are essential. Keep at least 2 vetted vendors per critical system. Use payment mechanisms that match your risk appetite. Pre-authorized corporate cards with spend controls for low-dollar, urgent buys. Petty cash windows where appropriate, or pre-approved PO holdbacks for known suppliers. But always require a minimal evidence packet before release. Photos of the fault, a short vendor statement of work, an itemized estimate or invoice, and a time-stamped sign-off.
You mentioned fraud resistance. What simple heuristics have worked for you?
Keep it simple. Require 2 forms of evidence when funds are released. Confirm the vendor is on your vetted list and log the approving person and reason. Post-event, reconcile to the original evidence packet. Those lightweight checks stop most errors without killing speed.
Segment 3, rehearse and reconcile. Talk me through the 2 lightweight acceptance tests you suggest.
First test is a 30-minute spend rehearsal. Simulate a small, low-risk purchase. Run the approval, execute the payment mechanism, and produce the evidence packet. Time it. If you can't complete the loop in 30 minutes, identify the choke points. Second is a 72-hour reconciliation drill after a mock incident. Ensure finance can reconcile receipts to approvals, and the vendor invoice matches work performed. Those two drills prove both speed and auditability.
And when thresholds are exceeded, what's the escalation path?
Have a clear escalation ladder. The single owner makes the immediate call for low tiers. Anything above the pre-authorized threshold auto-escalates to a secondary approver and finance within a defined time window. If a situation requires amounts beyond the emergency policy, put temporary measures in place to restore service, and then follow a documented capital request path for permanent fixes. Fold lessons from every incident into your capital planning cycle. If something keeps recurring, budget for a long-term solution.
Let's anchor this with two anonymized micro cases. Michael, first one, where fast funds actually saved hours.
We had a refrigerated server room fan fail mid-summer. Because the property team could authorize a Tier 2 spend immediately with a pre-authorized card, a vetted vendor was on site in under an hour, and the interim fix preserved equipment until a scheduled capital repair. Outcome? No tenant downtime, no expensive emergency replacement. That's the upside of clean governance.
And the opposite example, where loose rules created a dispute?
We once had an unclear policy that let multiple people authorize similar spends without post-incident reconciliation. 2 vendors were paid for the same work, and without a tight evidence packet, it took weeks to sort refunds and apologies. Tenants noticed the back and forth. The lesson, speed without accountability, costs you time and trust.
Great lessons. As we wrap, what are 3 immediate actions listeners can take this week?
1. Draft a short emergency spend definition and tier structure. Keep it to 1 page. 2. Pre-vet at least 2 vendors for your most critical systems and confirm payment mechanisms are in place. 3. Run a 30-minute spend rehearsal to prove the loop and fix any choke points.
That's exactly the playable checklist. Short, testable, and practical. For listeners, we've put a downloadable 1-page emergency spend checklist and a sample evidence packet template on the Built, Wired, and Secured Resource Hub to help you get started this week.
If you implement those 3 steps, you'll shave hours off incident recovery and preserve tenant trust. Tenants feel this immediately, so it's worth the upfront alignment.
Thanks, Michael. This was a clear operational playbook without the fluff. And for our listeners, visit the Built, Wired, and Secured Resource Hub to download the checklist, run your rehearsal, and start closing those governance gaps. Built to last, wired with intention, secured for the real world.